We are going to talk a lot about India in this podcast and traveling in general, how it expands consciousness, how it's also often connected to spirituality and development of your spirituality, but also it can help with a lot of different other things, like, for example, social anxiety and so forth, in my case.
Wow, you feel strong. You see
Yeah.
the ever-changing flow of water, always running, always running. It's so relaxing to just be there. And there are the stairs, the ghats all over India, next
Yes.
to the Ganga. It
Yes.
was amazing. Whoa, what's going on? Like they were very surprised by how the traffic is going, by how our driver is going, and we were really relaxed, like normal. Yeah, we're in India finally,
Yes.
home.
Everything has a start, ladies and gentlemen, and today we go on a new journey together. I'm really happy to begin this journey with my good friend Iliad, and today we're going to give you a chance to get to know us a little bit better and to hear the story of our friendship, how we met each other in crazy circumstances in the Himalayas, how we survived a devastating flood together, and so much more. This episode is also the pilot episode of The Sacred in Between, and therefore I'm super amped and happy to introduce this beautiful man, Iliad, a spiritual teacher and a visionary that enriched my life greatly. And I think the same could be said vice versa. We were just an unlikely couple, but an amazing couple. We are going to talk a lot about India in this podcast and traveling in general, how it expands consciousness, how it's also often connected to spirituality and development of your spirituality, but also it can help with a lot of different other things, like, for example, social anxiety and so forth, in my case. Iliad, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so yes, it's a pleasure to be here and do this recording with you. My name is Eliad Mualem, and I am from Israel, and I've been traveling the world quite a while, several times, South America, Europe, little bit, Mexico, Australia, India, Sri Lanka, and few other countries. And in my travelings, I've started to have a different kind of life of what I've known before. And with time, I've discovered that I'm really good at teaching about life to other people, that I am a spiritual teacher, basically, have been, and started taking ownership over it. And took me a while to be able to speak about my experiences because they're very hard to talk about, but I found the words. I've listened to a lot of other teachers and many people from the past, and how they have explained their experiences and kind of figured it out and made my own way of teaching. And yeah, that's how I go right now. And yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. This is something that deeply connects us because I also traveled the world. I got invited to all continents almost and traveled to many of the places that you just named, also South America and so forth. And this will also be a bit of the topic today: journeying, traveling, and also, developing friendships like that. Like this was born out of a journey, basically, I would say. Out of a tour. In my case, I was professionally in India then. You were for recreational purposes, you can say, but we created this magical friendship there, I feel. This is why we are here today, to share this beautiful friendship with the rest of the world. Because when you're traveling the world and you visit all those exotic places, you find those, or I happen to again and again find those extremely inspiring and beautiful people, and Iliad is one of the most inspiring that I have maybe ever met in my life. So therefore, we started this whole thing in the first place. So now we got a little bit about us out of the way. I'm a musician by trade and a digital modern nomad, and you are also a modern nomad, maybe without the digital. And yes, so
Analog nomad.
analog nomad, yes. So let's take the people with us to this magical place where we met us for the first time. When Iliad and me met for the very first time, it was in a very famous traveler place, you can say, and also spiritual place. That is the interesting thing. That is the Parvati Valley in the Himalayas, in the lower Himalayas, around 6 to 10,000 feet in northern India. And I was booked there. Actually, my tour organizer was there. And we found ourselves in the magical village of Kasol, a place that has a really, really interesting history and a long history. First being basically a traveler's in-between station before you actually go up into the mountains. You would go to Kasol as a traveler and maybe get some last things that you need, some food items, gasoline, or whatever is needed for you to summit or to go higher up. And this area of India is truly a magical place. First of all, there's wheat plants everywhere, which gives the whole thing a great ambience for sure. And you have the mighty river of Parvati, which is streaming down the beautiful Himalayan mountains. And there is a backdrop of caves, temples of different religions, not only Hinduism. You have different religions represented there. Sikhism, as well as Hinduism, as well as, I think you would also find some Buddhist things, maybe.
Little bit of everything in India.
Yeah. It is a truly magical and tribal place. It's lush and green, and when we have been there, meeting for the very first time, it was one of the first years in the last years where the whole Parvati Valley was like starting to bloom again. People started to come again in greater amounts, people from all over the world. And that was the backdrop. We were in the summer, so you think about the Himalayas, you think about snow, and you think about the K2, the Everest, and so forth. This is not that. This is a lush green mountain paradise with pine trees and rivers and lots of lush life. It's a place full of life. And a place that I have deep connections with because I got invited to that place the first time in 2015. So many times the universe brought me to this beautiful and magical place because it's really a magical place, in my opinion. And one day I was going down to Kasol village from my management team in the Himalayas, and I was going to Dollar Singh's little bakery, a place that is in the middle of Kasol, beautifully situated.
A cappuccino guy.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically a little bakery, a small bakery with a very super sweet guy. This is the thing. Everybody knows everybody. I know those people. When you are visiting the places again and again, they know me. Dola actually sent me a message yesterday. You know that, Iliad? The guy from the coffee place was sending me a message yesterday. And one day, Iliad and me, we found ourselves sitting in this coffee place. And maybe, do you remember what our first interaction has been, Iliad, by any chance? What did we first speak about? I know that you...
I think it was about the party in Pulga that we were talking about to see whether it's happening or not or what's happened there. And you were with your bike maybe, and you said you're gonna go there and check it out for us first. And we spoke probably about psytrance and your music. I don't remember exactly all the details, but somewhere around there, we kind
Yeah,
of
I will
connected.
probably, 100% certainly would have introduced myself to you, explaining why I am here, that I'm not a tourist per se, but somebody who is actually here to present some of his music. I probably told you about my project. And one of the first things that Elia did was connecting two souls. Maybe you can say something about that, Iliad, about Shakti. And
So when I travel, basically, I today, like I mean, when I'm traveling, I'm kind of staying in one place for a while. And when I stay in one place for a while, like you say, I kind of get to know the people. So for me, it was first time in Kasol, and not first time in India, but this was my first time in the Himalaya region. And I was in Manali before, then I went to Kasol, and so I started knowing people. And one of those people was Shakti, which is a very, very, very talented guy from Varanasi. And he's a flute master, basically.
yes,
And Bansuri flute, he carries like a big bag with like 30 kinds of different notes of flutes, and he's just a master. And when I met you, I think I already knew Shakti, and I said, "Wow, I must connect those people together
yeah,
because electronic music and instrumental music, and this is my
yes,
dream, like connecting between people that can harmonize each other." And
yes,
they both are kind of artistic souls, very talented, but very like different than other people, and it was kind of a effort to bring them together. And also India life, it's like, yeah, I'll come there, then later, it's like, but
yeah,
it happened finally, and when it did, it was amazing. It was magic, really.
yes,
I'm happy to. I had the honor of being the bridge between you two, and I'm looking
yes,
forward to see
for
what it
sure.
will bring.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like Shakti, like it already brought a lot, actually. There was already a lot happening in this moment. If you remember, there were plenty of experiences, and experiences are creation ultimately. So we created, you created also in this moment, and it was a beautiful inception. I remember that it was the summer, full on summer in the Himalayas, and it was hot actually, very, very hot. And we went together to Manikaran. Manikaran is an extremely old, I think thousands of years old holy place, right?
I'm not sure, but
It is,
I
it
bet you.
is, it is, it is a extremely old and beautiful place, stunning. I will put a lot of the footage in the podcast and show the people how Shakti actually looks and so forth. I think that will be cool. I was playing and we were doing different things. We were going to Pulga. This was one of the first things that we did, like which is even higher up there. And experience a nice kind of like little bit old school flavored party, I think, up in Pulga, which is another village. You need to imagine Kasol, yeah, as I said in the beginning, it's a perfect place to go and then to go to different places from there, actually. You can go up further up the mountain, and there is coming more and more villages. Pulga, what else is up there? There's so many villages.
Yeah, there is Tosh. There
Exactly,
is
Tosh.
mm, I don't know, something similar with the name Pulga. Something
Yes,
else.
yes, yes,
Something else.
something similar.
Yeah, a few villages next to each other, in the same valley.
Yeah. Then I remember at some point I had to go to the south of India for a very short time. Maybe you remember that. I had to play a gig in Bangalore actually and present my music down there. And then I was returning to the Parvati Valley. And we of course we had a lot of crazy experiences in this place of the Parvati Valley in Kasol. But then we got a new idea. The new idea was to go to Manali.
Yes,
And
home.
and actually God sort of or something laid a protective hand above us, because we basically escaped a huge natural disaster by accident, like, like we didn't know, nobody knew that this was happening. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. We were continuing to enjoy the Parvati Valley. Then we suddenly have this idea. We wanted to convince Shakti, we wanted to convince everybody. Like, there was this Turkish girl, what was her name?
Duygu.
Duygu, and then suddenly there was a plan. Let's go to Manali.
Yes.
Yes, let's go to Manali. And I was like, awesome, let's go to Manali. I'm gonna rent a bike, and then we are going to meet up there. You are going to take a car. It was actually not even... I remember it was hard to, arrange everything, that everybody is in the car. Shakti yes, Shakti no, Shakti yes, Shakti no, Shakti no.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was hard to convince them. There was a lot of mess. It started raining. And he didn't know maybe he will come in few days, but then he didn't come because the monsoon has already started. So it was over. But yeah, we managed to get a cab. You went with a bike. We met in Manali, and all of a sudden, boom, monsoon.
Yes. So what is happening in the Himalayas every year, of course, is at some point the summer is over. And then the rainfalls start. And when you are talking about rainfalls, we're not talking about your tiny little western rainfalls that you get from time to time. We're talking monsoon rainfall. That is a different level. And actually it is, you almost surely have flooding and a little bit of disaster going on every season, every year, actually. But this year was tremendous. It was very, very, very destructive and heavy. So we ended up being in Manali. I remember we arrived, and I was like, on the way there, I was on the Himalayan bike, on a beautiful bike, on one of my favorite bikes. And on the way there, it started to rain. And I just thought, okay, that's a rain, that's very common. That happens at that time year round, and it will be, a little bit of rain, then will be stop, and will be beautiful blue sky, and everything will be perfect again. But it was not like that. The rain never stopped, basically. It didn't stop.
We were literally inside of a cloud. We were inside of the clouds. You could not see any of the view. You just saw the cloud itself, and you were inside of it.
Yes.
And for 3 days straight, just rain, pouring rain. No electricity, no water, no
And
food at some point.
the fascinating thing was that there was not this instant realization, because one of the first things that went was the Wi-Fi, I believe, right? Also, like the internet
Yeah.
was going, and suddenly there was no information transmitted. So basically, we didn't know that the place that we just left was completely annihilated by floods. Like literally houses getting ripped into the river, cars getting ripped into the river and played around by the water like if it would be toys. And total disaster. We saw videos from people, from Shakti, I believe, actually, who was filming or showing us videos where he was a little bit on an elevated spot, and you could see the flood eating away houses
Everything.
and everything, cars and so forth. So we're not...
Roads, bridges, so
It's
many ATM machine, everything. It took
everything.
everything.
The fascinating thing in India is that you would think that thousands of people die in such a flood. And there was really so much destruction. Temples that were thousands of years old. Like there was one Shiva temple not far away in Himachal Pradesh, which was tragically swallowed by the floods. You need to imagine that this was standing there for plus 1,000 years. And there was 1,000 years of rains, and nothing was ripping those temples away. And the time when Iliad and me were in the mountains last year, it was worse than that. It was actually the last time that it was as strong was sometime in the 90s, but yeah. So we didn't realize immediately that this was going on. All we knew was we were fortunately on an elevated spot in Manali, and it was raining, and it was kind of a little bit boring because then the electricity stopped, then the water stopped. We didn't know what happened to our friends. We didn't know that there was a catastrophe. We just thought like, oh, no internet. This was at first. We didn't have the information. It's incredible how long it took until we got the information, until we got the first videos, until something returned. And now the magic that happened in this environment was that despite the catastrophe that was going on, and at some point obviously we realized that people were suffering greatly, despite that, in the place where we have been, it was very safe, and the people started to come together very close. This is also how Iliad and me bonded strongly, and we bonded with a lot of other people that I am also still in contact, people that are now in Australia and all over the world, basically, because we were all stuck on this mountain village, on this beautiful mountain village in the Himalayas. Fortunately, we had us, and it was not the first time in my life that I was in this situation. I was in 2020, I was stuck in India, and there was a lot going on, if you guys remember 2020. And we had the community, and the same thing was happening there, that people came together and enjoyed what was there, explored new friendships, and actually realized that you are blessed because nothing happened to us. And a few days of no internet is not the end of the world. It's actually a blessing.
Yeah, it's a blessing. And I may remind you that you didn't have actually anything with you because you thought you're just gonna come for a day and then go back to bring your stuff. So all of your stuff was in Kasol and you were just there for one day, but you got stuck there for more than a week.
Yeah,
And or
much
even more, I don't remember.
2 weeks.
So 3 days was the actual monsoon, and yeah, little by little, there was less and less stuff. There was like maybe one restaurant or two restaurants that actually had light and food, and the rest of the place was kind of abandoned.
Yes.
But then the fourth day was quite amazing because there was no more rain. There was clear blue sky, but still no electricity. So we could see all the stars. Do you remember this night?
Yes.
We could see all the stars in the sky.
The first good night, the first clear night, yeah.
And we would like communicate, like we would leave messages to people, like this guy is looking for you there, because we didn't have phones. So people actually had to, talk with each other and let us all go there to this restaurant and meet you up there. It was really funny. And then we went into nature and saw what happened after.
Yes, and then I was one of the only people that could actually... I was one of the first guys out on the roads because I had the Himalayan bike, which was able to go off-road and go through difficult circumstances, let's put it like that. And that, again, was a super big blessing because there was nobody on the roads. Some other roads were completely blocked. But I was the first guy who actually went down the mountain. One of the first guys from our group. I was the first guy who went down after the flood.
You came back with the news. Came back with the news, like what's happening in Nagar, in this road, this road.
That actually there was a highway that was just gone, and I knew this highway very well. It's the Leh Ladakh highway. It's leading to one of the most stunning Himalayan places ever. And I think like many monasteries are there. It's also sacred places. And I know this road. I just was going on it last year. It's a super famous road. It's known as one of the most beautiful roads to ride a motorbike on in the whole wide world. So I arrived there, and there is this stunning video where I am standing basically at a point where the highway was leading up to, and normally it keeps on going up the mountain, a big highway, like a multi-lane highway, and it just ripped off, and there's just nothing anymore. Nothing. There's just like a huge field of nothing, like intense.
Because it's on the mountain side, so they carve in the mountain to have the road, but then here there is the river, so when the river flows, it kind of just eat the base of the road and everything just started collapsing from the mountain.
Yeah.
Also, many roads were blocked by big rocks coming down, falling from the mountain.
This was the other thing.
Big
There was
rock.
intense rocks. I captured everything of that, so I will also probably put that in the video. And it's intense. It was very intense to ride there. And then the cool thing that happened, like the days, how did we spend our days? We spent our days not doing much, to be honest with you, because you couldn't do that much, but like explore the nature. Then we started, suddenly events started to happen. People were like getting bored, and people never stopped to celebrate life somehow, even in the most devastating moments. Say again?
Yeah, it's a must.
Yeah.
Life keep on going on, and you cannot stop it, even if
Yes.
things happen.
Yes,
Life.
exactly. And then there was the thing that we went on a party from one local guy, and it was quite nice in a very hidden place behind Manali. We had to go through the nature, find our way next to the river. There are beautiful photos from that moment, I believe, when we first time went there. And then there was an event actually, and that event was pretty cool. And I talked to the organizer, and the organizer wanted to do another event with me. So he booked me. Uh,
Which, by the way, I introduced between you guys also. Like, it was the Israeli people, basically.
yeah,
So they are like everywhere there in Manali and Kasol. And you were like, you already know a lot of Israeli people and you like working with them. But when it's first time with new people, then you need your way in because Israeli
yeah,
people are very like
yeah,
protecting each other. So I was like helping, trying to communicate, to
yeah,
pass
yeah, exactly.
communication
But there
between
was this
people.
Indian guy. There was this Indian guy involved who was
Oh, you're
like,
talking about the Indian guy.
I
Okay.
talking about the Indian guy, but I know what you are talking about. Yes, you did. Anyway, I'm making this arrangement with him, but of course there was a flood going on, and the roads were closed. All highways were closed, and the Naga Road was the first one who was getting opened up again, but then closed again and opened up again. There was a natural catastrophe going on. So, you know, things that are not in
Yes.
our power, basically. And I made this arrangement and told him I'm going to drive to Kassel because I had to take my stuff to actually make it to the party. And I had to pick up my things to play. I cannot play without my equipment. So I had to somehow make it. And we were days and days, was already maybe a week into after the flood or something like that. And we were waiting and we had the information. Yes, now the road finally will open up. And the road did actually open up. And so I made my way on my military green motorbike up into the Himalayan mountains and into the unknown during a time where you have 50-ton boulders lying around on the highway because they just fell off the mountain, okay? So actually heavy life danger. And it's anyway always heavy life danger if you're riding on a motorbike in the Himalayas anyway. And I'm making my way up there, and I remember how I'm arriving at one of the checkpoints, the last checkpoint, which was closed all the time, in Parvati Valley before Kasol. And it was Mad Max style. Really hot. After this heavy rainfalls and so forth, the sun was burning down like crazy. And I was burning on the motorbike, instantly getting sunburn on all the spaces that were left open from my protective gear. And I arrived at the place and I saw a policeman. And there was a huge excavation going on. And it was closed. This part was closed. Nobody, they didn't let anyone attempt this. I was the first guy that they let attempt this. I talked to the policeman and he looked at me and he checked my gear and everything and he looked at the bike and then he looked at the thing and then he looked back at me and then he
Let's
decided,
make an experiment with him.
yeah, exactly. Let's
Right.
see what happens. Let's see what happens. So he's signaling the excavator, huge excavator. The Indian government had to react really quickly because every day there was millions of dollars loss for the industry of tourism and everything. So this was not a small thing. It was a huge thing. And on the other hand, it's India. Okay,
Yeah.
things are not like super smooth. Things are as good as they can, and they actually reacted quite quickly.
There were people trying to fix the electricity when it still was raining. Like
Yeah.
in on the second day, they were there and they died. Like few, I don't know how many. Like they
Yes.
died
Yes.
from
Yes.
trying to fix the electricity and the
Yeah.
antennas for the internet. Yeah.
Yes. This is how intense this was. So this was really not a joke in a way. And then ultimately he let me attempt this. And then in the last second, a beautiful person from Little Hamlet Inn. Oh man, I'm forgetting. I'm not I don't find his name in my head. But a beautiful guy that I know, that is a local, fortunately appeared with 3 or 4 of his guys because they were walking over this part and getting something from the other side to bring it back to Kasol, to their guest house, of course, to probably give something to their guests. He's an amazing host. If you are in Parvati Valley, I can recommend Lil Hamlet Inn. Not a sponsored deal, but definitely check that one out. And Sanjubai, now I have his name, Sanjubai. He saved my butt basically. Then I was like doing this attempt. I had to go with all full throttle, basically full power through that huge dip in the road. There was no road; it was off-road basically. The road was all gone, and I made it, and I arrived in Kasol, but Kasol was gone. Basically, Kasol was gone, and then I was going to the first place to pick up my things, and my bags were literally, there was a river going through my bags, through some of my bags. Most of my really important things, fortunately, were at another place more up the mountain. But I opened my bags, and a local guy from 20 meters screams, "Careful, scorpion!" There was scorpions living in my bag, and he saw that, like
Yeah.
he saw that from really far away. I didn't even see that. And then the rain is starting again, and I cannot leave. But the organizer who booked me in the Manali side was going crazy. But I even attempted it. I attempted to go back to that part of the road, but it was completely blocked now and literally impossible to make it without killing yourself. So that was quite intense. But there was events going on actually, in Manali still, which was crazy.
Yeah, like after everything started moving, so there was few people that really had to catch flights and things, so they actually tried going in weird roads and took them like million hours to get to Delhi and places. But the rest of us, we waited a little bit more, and then when things started opening, then people felt like, okay, we need to move now. So some people went other places, Dharamsala or whatever, and some
Layla
people
Duck.
started fighting and making events and
Yeah,
saying like, okay, we are. It was like
exactly.
coming out of the prison. Yeah.
True, true, true. Some people decided to go to Layla Duck or wanted to go to Layla Duck. Some people made it, some people didn't make it. Everything was a bit uncertain at first. Are the roads open? Are the roads not open? It can change any
For me,
moment.
this whole time was it was a big blessing for me. I really liked the vibe when there was no phones and electricity, and people were just much more present and with each other, and it was really fun. It was really good, and like you said before, this is really how we got bonded with other groups of people even more, and even with each other. So we had a lot of time to do nothing basically, and
Yes,
we talked a lot. And I introduced you to other Israeli people, and we kind of formed groups
yes,
of people liking the same kind of things, same kind of people. So it was really, really great. And after, I remember in Manali, there was the vibe, a combined vibe of few different places, because people from Kasol started to come, people from Manikaran, people from Pulga. they all started doing this crazy journey to get to a safe place, to Manali. So people from Pulga were coming out like walking in the roads, climbing things, taking another taxi, another bus just from here to there and then walking again.
Yeah.
So in Manali, there was usually like each place has its own vibe, but all of the sudden in Manali there was all the vibes. You saw all the different kinds of people. The people that are usually in Kasol were all of the sudden in Manali. The people that are usually in Pulga all of the sudden in Manali. And it's different people. Like those are fairy people. Those are like dark, crazy people. So bikers, this, that, like many
Yeah, true.
types.
That
Really nice.
is true. That is true. I didn't really think about it that way, but you are right. There was so many different people with different reasons why they were there and different backgrounds and so forth. I remember those beautiful moments. Also, you remember when we were sitting up on this terrace and we were sitting in a big group and there was a girl singing and it's amazing vibes. Actually, I have a video of this somewhere. It was truly a stunning place and a stunning time. And it was induced by the universe. Nobody could do anything. Everybody was like, okay, relax now, because I'm a workaholic, or a bit of a workaholic at least. And in this time, it was like, no, you can't be a workaholic right now. You have to relax, enjoy those people, get to know some people. Um, it really
Yeah, you
beautiful.
must surrender. It's an invitation by the universe telling you, look, now you have to surrender because it doesn't matter what you choose. So usually you are like, okay, what to do next? What should I do? What should I do? And then it say, no, you don't go anywhere. You don't do anything. You just stay and be present with the people around you. And things happen. Actually, you go deep and it was very nice times, really. It's a
Yes,
disaster. It's not a good thing, but we got the positive. We were able to see the positive sides of it and make the best out of it, and
yeah,
I think it was very special part of the adventure, and
yes, absolutely.
it,
And we grow.
it's one of the ways how traveling enriching you and exposing you to all kinds of lives. So when you live in a routine life in a mainstream world, in a Western society, life looks like one thing. But then when you start traveling, life is many things. Every day you discover something new about life, about possibilities, about the nature, about the humans, about the countries, the cultures, the music, the food, everything
Yes,
that you didn't know that existed. Now you experience it and you see it with your own eyes and with your own heart. You live it. So this is one of the most amazing thing about traveling, and also India specifically, which is a
yes,
very special place
yes,
in
exactly.
itself.
So let's.
Everything happens on high speed, and relationships bond much quicker. Someone you would know in normal life, and it would take you a year to bond such friendship and such intimacy with. In India or in any place, when you travel together, you can become best friends in 1 week because
Yes,
it's so intense.
yes, that's true. Awesome. So let's go to the past. Actually, I think a great way to discover more of India with our audience today is to actually go to the moment when you very first time got to visit this place. Can you tell me a little bit about your very first time going?
Yes. So it was part of a longer journey that I had. I started in Australia traveling. I actually started in Vietnam and Thailand, went to Australia, have been there for a few months, and I've not actually liked the vibe so much because it was very much first world and mainstream with many rules and robotic people. It's also amazing. Yeah, Australia is also an amazing place with cool people and amazing nature, but
It's
it
not what you
wasn't my.
needed, maybe, you know? It's not what you were seeking, maybe.
Yes, I was actually thinking to go to Australia in order to work and get money while I'm actually traveling. But then it ended up being more like when you work, you work. It doesn't matter that you are in another place. And when you travel, you travel. So, and
Yeah.
it's expensive to travel there. So you must work there in order to travel there, and you kind of become again in this cycle. and I didn't like it. So after a few months, instead of staying there for a few years, maybe 2 years, I ended up coming back after 5 months. So I didn't want to go back home to Israel yet. So I went to Thailand for a month, and then I decided to go to India. So before I even reached India, in the airport in Thailand, on the gate, next to the gate in the airport to the Indian flight, I already started feeling India because there was. So usually when I used to travel, I'm like, I'm a nomad, so I'll sleep anywhere and I'll go to the gate and just find few chairs and sleep there. But then I got there and everything was taken by Indians. So basically everywhere it was crowded with Indians next to the gate in the airport in the middle of the night, and so many Indians sleeping here and there and everywhere. And I felt like, oh my god, this is the most different flight I've ever been on. Then I reached to Goa, and I got out of the airport, and it was crazy. Like a million Indians coming to me, taxi, 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 like millions of them, and they're so intense and so crowded. Like any space here that has like two people, there would be 10. You go on the bus where there are two seats, there are three. Where there is one, there is two. Like it's always they're crowding more people in smaller places, and they like very much to touch
Because
each other.
there
No
is so many.
boundaries, no personal boundaries. You feel like with family, but if
Yeah.
you like it or not, kind of.
Yes.
So yeah, I got to Goa and the first time, and I was there just relaxing, enjoying the psychedelic music, psytrance. I even produced a party, a small one, like in my hostel. I kind of produced a party with few other guys that were there. I was very active. Like we made flyers, we made decoration, we invited people, we had a DJ. It didn't go so well, but it was good. It was good experiment for first time, and I met other Israelis there that made actually really good music. And I went there because I wanted the Goa psytrance, but when I reached there, I actually discovered it's no Goa music there. So there was other kind of music, more like dark and forest and all kind of other music, and it was weird. It felt like something weird is happening. So I decided to keep on moving and into a more spiritual part of India, because Goa is amazing place, is really cool, but it was more vacation like, with the beach, with a different vibe in the state of Goa. Or maybe in Arambol where I was. I don't know actually about the rest of Goa. And I went to Sri Lanka. I went to Sri Lanka and I came back and I passed through Chennai and Bangalore. So trains with Indian friends
Yeah, which is
and
South
great
Indian
adventure.
cities, which is South Indian cities. So, like for the people that they don't know Chennai, they don't know this. It's like basically South India. You were going with a train, I guess, like to fly over to Sri Lanka, or
Yes. Yeah, to fly. So Chennai, it's like Goa is on the west of India, and Bangalore is more or less in the center, and Chennai is on the east. So we kind of had a few days trip by train and bus to reach to Bangalore. We stayed there for a few days, and then we went to Chennai, and from Chennai we flew to Sri Lanka because it's a cheaper flight. And this whole journey has been really fun. Like going around in train in India is one of the most fun things, and
yes,
it's really an experience by itself. And also we went back and we went to Hampi and Pune and Mumbai, and I ended up in Rajasthan in Pushkar. So Udaipur, Pushkar, and Rajasthan is a completely different state. It's like India is amazing. It's you go here, you have a desert. You go there, you have the mountain. You go here, you have the. It's very different everywhere. So Rajasthan is a desert-like country with camels and different vibes and desert. And I was there for Holi, which is a holiday of Indian people where they go outside crazy
It's
and
the fest of colors. Everybody knows it actually. Also in the Western world, it's the Holi is the fest of colors. You probably saw pictures of people with lots of powder, pigment powders, and people go out and smash colors into each other's faces. I find it very fascinating because I can tell you a little bit now about my experience with India as well. And first of all of the places that you were saying, I got invited to them and I have visited them. In my case, I have visited 30 countries in my life and all continents, but I was always getting invited there. So it's like it's a completely different starting point from my adventures. And in 2014, I believe it was, or 13, a Bangalorean crew invited me. And this time I was basically playing every weekend in a different place in the world, playing music, performing music. And I experienced India completely different from anyone, I believe, that is coming there as a tourist. Because the people that picked me up were all extremely wealthy kids, first of all. They were not like you would. My first impression of India was I'm getting picked up in a luxury car. The first house that we went was actually from the guy who was driving me, who was a friend of the organizer. And he was the son of a developer, so somebody who was building houses. And it was a villa, a huge villa with everything, with a cinema inside and everything. And that was just like, casually in between on my way to the hotel, we made a little stop there and he showed me that place. And the first impression also was like, it was a house that was half Christian and half Hindu. So there was an altar for Christian stuff and there was an altar for Hindu stuff because the mother was Christian, the husband was Hindu. And that is something that is very specific in India and in Bangalore specifically. In Bangalore, you have all the different religions. You have them there living together, mostly peaceful. And there are different quarters who represent different religions there. It's a very beautiful place. So the guy who brought me to India, was the son of the chief of police of Karnataka, who was a female. She was a female. And that was very usual. I was always getting booked from people from this South Indian metropolis. It's an amazing city, especially if you know it as well as I do now, because I've visited it plus 30 times now. And so I had this completely different experience from India. Completely different. There was no tourism involved. I was there, I was getting paid, I was getting invited, everything was like kind of sorted. I was playing in different places. We were going to Kerala and it was a culture shock like nothing before. Nothing could have prepared me for the culture shock that I have witnessed. And by now, India and me, we are brothers and we are deeply bonded. But back then, I was a white chud, as the South Indians would say, who doesn't know nothing about India and who didn't understand nothing about India. So I didn't realize how amazing the people have been that invited me there. Because I had no relation. I could not, I didn't have 10 other people to say, listen guys, actually it was quite amazing what you just did and thank you so much. Normally I should have had that energy. But at that time I was not evolved enough yet, I guess, to realize my luck in its full, in its entirety, basically. So I tried to find a hotel, and I was, trying to apply my Western standards to the whole story, which made it super complicated. And I had an amazing time, of course, playing there. You think about, wow, India, like shanty towns and like kind of like dilapidated constructions and so forth, and nothing like that. It's a very modern city. It has been already back then. The internet revolution was happening since like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Everybody was paying with digital things. Even the homeless people in India take credit card and phone pay and so forth. So it's like, it's not what you think. It's not what I thought, specifically 10 years ago, because this was when I was first coming there. India since then has rapidly evolved into something completely different from 10 years ago. There's not many places in the world which had such a rapid development over the past 20 years, 30 years as
Yeah.
India. And
Yeah,
then,
India is changing very fast.
yes, and
Everything happens very fast.
extremely fast. And then I had a full tour booked. That means I was playing in Mumbai, I was playing in Goa, I was playing in Bangalore, and I was playing in stunning and beautiful Kerala, in Wayanad. There is actually a YouTube video, a legendary YouTube video called Paradroid Blasting India or something like that, and it shows my 4 hour set apart, the last part, where I'm playing in this beautiful resort, like literally a luxury resort in Kerala. And Kerala, how can you describe Kerala? Lush, jungly mountains with tea fields and dusty mountains, misty mountains. It's one of the most stunning places in the world. It's literally one of the most lush and places full of life in the world. It's also the place in India with the highest literacy rate. And it's a majority Christian place, I believe. This is also, people always think in terms of India, Hinduism, of course, because there is, of course, a deep correlation in between the two. But India is not one country ultimately. It's an amalgamation of many, many different states. And they are
It's more
almost...
like it's more like Europe, like as
Yeah,
a continent
exactly.
that has many different states inside and different. It's similar but different at the same time.
True, true, true. I never heard that comparison, but there is some truth to that. Okay, so I am making myself into the car, and I was treated, of course, royally, because this is usually how people did it back then. They really took care greatly of the people that they invited from the other part of the planet, right? It was for them a big, big occasion that I was coming. And that means that you get quite good treatment, of course. Nice hotels, you get shown into clubs, like literally like clubs where rich people hang out in India, and all of that jazz. And that was fair enough and super nice. So how do you get to Kerala from Bangalore? The most comfortable way is actually a private driver. And this was my very first experience with driving in India. And it was a shock. I wanted to actually kill the guy. I literally wanted to kill the guy because he was accelerating before turns, and they do everything. It feels like Indian people are not clamoring to life in the same way as Westerners do. It's
Yeah, they live on the edge. They're like, if Shiva wants to take me today, it's okay. I'll drive like
yes,
crazy anyways.
yes, and then I will come back as something else, like it's like the reincarnation. I mean, those things are embedded into their culture. So I was screaming at the guy, and back then I didn't know that it doesn't do anything. He only talked Kannada or some other Indian language, and I was anyway. For him, I was just some white guy, another white guy. He saw them many times in his life, drove them many times probably in his life, like it was not like some special artist or anything. For just another white guy that he's driving around that is screaming at him. And then we finally made it to Wayanad, and we switched cars because to go actually to the location where I was playing, it was not as easy, and you needed a willy. What is a willy? A willy is an amazing thing. In India, there are a lot of things that don't exist anywhere else on planet Earth. One of those things are the old military British jeeps called willies, which are kept in India. Actually, all cars are kept. It's like everything which runs, they will keep it. They will not, they will
They're
not.
fixing.
They're fixing it. So there are actually people who are... Kerala, for example, is a place where it's a common thing that people collect the old Yamaha 350 King bikes. It's a family occasion. It's not a bike that is for commuting or for driving or for anything. They keep it in the garage. They will have it perfectly restored and in some cases tuned and so forth. And they will take it out for Sunday only. Like literally only to get it out on Sunday with the suns and so forth. There's a big culture for just having those things run forever, basically. And so it is with the Willies. So I find myself sitting in the back of a Willie riding through the Keralan jungle mountains for the first time in my life. And I was like, wow. The universe brought me to those places, right? I didn't bring myself to this place. I had to be there. It was like, no escape for this experience, but ultimately extreme gratefulness, because I love adventure. I am not only a musician. I am as much an adventurer. If there is something like truly, I am a little bit of a modern day adventurer. I am unafraid. I go with the bike anywhere in any place, and it's like that. And this was kind of my first experience of true adventure in India. That was very tame in comparison to what I did over the years. Now that I have ridden many places with the bike in all major cities and so forth, but this was my first experience, right? So I was blown away, and I finally arrived at the party, and there was an amazing sound system. Back then also sound systems were not that great in India mostly, and I was like, oh my god, the sound system is amazing. So what they did is they took the beautifully set sound system and started to wildly try to improve things. Like, until there was no recognition of the sound anymore, you know what I mean? Because actually, nobody of the people who were going down on the amplifier and starting to turn knobs knew anything about what they were doing.
It felt with their heart.
Yeah, exactly. And then they messed it up to a degree which was like unrecognizable. And then they called me as the guy who was like, hey, you're a German person. Fix it. It's like, that's not how this works, brother. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think, in India, many people are like, well, many people think that India is really relaxed. This is why you go there to be like shanti shanti. But actually, I think it's somewhat confused. You get out of India very shanti because it's crazy. Because the country is crazy. You go, there are cows everywhere. There are people almost like making accidents every second. And everybody drive like crazy. It's a big chaos. Everybody's shouting. So many smells, so many colors. You must let go. You must surrender. You cannot be in control like in your normal life, because here it's another level. So you become absolutely relaxed. You like everything explodes. You're like,
okay.
Yes,
what to do? What to do? It's like you're adapting slowly over the years, or the more you go there, the more you realize, man, there's things which are just not in our power, and the more we are at peace with those things, the better. And this is how it goes. And yeah, okay. So
you are on the tuk-tuk, and the tuk-tuk is going crazy. You cannot do anything. You just hold strong, and everything will be fine. Trust the guy. He knows what he's doing. You learn how to trust other people that actually know what they are doing. And yeah, it's amazing experience.
And you keep calm no matter what happens. Even if a person crashes into you, which happened to me. A drunk guy was just doing a 180 in a place where you literally never, it's the first thing that you would learn when you're doing a driving license. Which
they don't have driving license.
They have, but it costs 10 euros, and you can get it without, just like wink, wink, here are 5 euros extra, okay, done? Yes, done. That's how it works.
You drive when you're 11, and that's how you learn.
That's how it is. I have this legendary situation with a friend who is a guy from the UK, but his parents are Indian, and he's, UK, British Indian he is. Beautiful person, I love him. Nimai is his name. And I am a guy who is not afraid to hurt himself. And I never was. So when I came to Goa for the first time, the organizer just put a scooter in my hand. Back then, not even a motorbike, fortunately, I guess. And he just put a scooter in my hand. And with the expectations, this big 2-meter tall German knows how to drive. Of course he knows how to drive. Look at him. He knows how to drive 100%. I never sit on a bike in my life. before. I never sat on a bike in my life before. But I loved it. I loved it. There is footage of this as well, of the very first time. Of course, when I am traveling as an artist, often there is people taking photographs, photographers with me and so forth. And so there is actually memorabilia from that in form of videos, in form of all of that. And it's funny for me to see this because also, like, I'm looking back into the past. I'm seeing those beautiful people who invited me and how blessed I was that my first invitee, my first guy who invited me was such a good person. Like, not perfect, but well-mannered, good heart, and not a scammer or a liar. Which is not, India has a lot of people. And it's not the Western culture. It's a different culture. You need to adapt and to learn about that. And you can't just do that also instantly. It will come over time. So that was my very, very first experience with bikes also in India. And it was just put into my hand. Like, here's the key. Of course you know how to drive. Nobody asked me. And also then in the following years, like you think when I'm coming to Goa, I have to, like, I will have a bike in 5 minutes because the people, they know me there. And so I don't have to show them a passport. I don't have to give them money also. It's just like I come and they know me already. And I just go into the village and I say, can you please give me a bike? And they will give me a bike. It's like that. And in no other place it would work like that. They would want a credit card. They would want a passport. In this case, they know me. And if they want to, like in India, it's also... They don't need if they want to find you, they will anyway find you, if you most likely. And if not, also okay, next time. They will get you next time. So this is the system, how it works there.
There are a lot of good people, like not even ones that not have resources, okay, not the most rich people. They would be like very hosting and inviting you and giving you from the little bit they have. And also, like in Rishikesh, for example, I remember a situation where there was a shop and this girl, she just arrived at town, it was late and she didn't have whatever and she didn't want to pay with a credit card. And she bought something for 500 rupees, which for them is quite a lot. It's not like nothing.
Yeah.
So he said like, no worries, come tomorrow. And she was in shock. She wouldn't understand. And I said like to her, yeah, it's okay. You come tomorrow, And she's like, but how does he know that I'm gonna come and this and that? And it's like, are you gonna come? Yes. So that's okay. And she was really shocked because really it's very good trusting people. They have a big faith in the universe, in the God, in the whatever, and they don't need to be so controlling. This is exactly it. In Western society, you think about control.
Yes.
The only control there is in India is just coming from British people came there and conquered, and something from this control got stuck. But otherwise, the normal Indian is like crazy, not, I don't know, everything is amazingly free. Chaotic and free, like rivers, like the nature.
This is why it's such a great place for adventure, is because it's the land of basically unlimited possibilities, to be very honest with you, in a way. It is. You can do everything in India because it's such a mess. So it's like the negative are also the positives over there. Yes.
Yeah. One of the first phrases I learned in Hindi was "Sab kuch milega," which is everything is possible or everything will come to you. So every time you ask for "Sab kuch milega," somehow it will happen. We will find a solution.
We have plenty. We have plenty of everything, which is true. India is a very rich place. It's another misconception about India. Is like, as I said, the first people that I met in India were highly educated and did not live in dilapidated buildings, quite the opposite. And, you have 250 million educated and middle class or upper class Indians with buying power. So that is 3 times the entire population of Germany. So like people think, wow, Germany, it's a powerhouse, it's an economic powerhouse. And we are, especially in export, we are still one of the biggest exporters in the world. But unfortunately not great things, weapons mostly and, stuff like that a lot, actually. Yeah. But nevertheless, we are an economic powerhouse for our size. However, India has 3 times the people, just the educated and people with buying power. So, like, this is like, I learned very quickly that, you know, the image that my upbringing taught me about India, all the movies that I've seen, everything what I have listened, it was all wrong. This is the magical thing. It's truly another place. This is also something to understand, and that probably have been showcased a little bit in our conversation, is that it's a completely different universe. It's not like, hey, I'm going to a different place, it's going to be a bit different. It's fundamentally different. It's like
Yes.
absolutely fundamentally different. From the
Yeah, it's a
core,
parallel universe. Definitely.
yes. This planet of ours has many universes
Yeah.
inside. Many worlds are inside, and life blessed me with sending me to a lot of different places somehow
Yeah.
and experience those worlds in a very authentic fashion, not as a tourist, as a professional, basically, in a way, but also as an explorer and as an adventurer. Because wherever I go, when I am in Brazil, I'm going to surf and I'm going to the jungle, and I'm going with the boats up in Bahia to some islands and whatever. Wherever I am, I'm living fully. I'm bonding with the people. I'm having dates. I'm giving lessons. I'm immersing myself in the experience. In India, the same. India became a second home to myself. Really, it bonded so close to my heart over time, because when you return to a place and again you return to that place, each time a little bit of your soul, connects with it a bit more and becomes more
Most
like.
definitely yes. Most definitely yes. I can tell you. So I was telling that I reached Pushkar in the Holi, but right after the Holi, it was the COVID. It started and there was a lockdown. So I was thinking, do I want to be in lockdown in Israel or in India? And I was like, no, I'll stay in India. Everybody was going crazy, flights running away,
That is
and I
so
was like,
hilarious, because me
yeah,
too, same story, absolutely the same story. I have the same story. I was working as a fashion photo shoot producer with a world class photographer called Kiran Patis, who worked for brands like Sony, L'Oreal, Gucci, like high level print magazines. Um, Worked with the biggest companies in the world, basically, and I was working for a super small organic clothing brand, where I got to know the guy on another tour when I was playing in Nepal, and he was there to produce clothes, and we bonded, and then this kind of business venture started, and I was touring India again to play my music and also working as a producer for photo shoots, which was one of the coolest things that I did apart from making music, because I was getting paid for riding around India and scouting models, scouting photographers, scouting locations, bonding with the locals, because that was part of the job. You have to connect to the locals so that the locals show you the secret amazing places. And
yeah,
then suddenly the pandemic hits, and we did one of our 3 planned photo shoots. There was months of preparation going into those photo shoots, and we did the first one, and then suddenly the Rona happens,
yeah.
and then I was like, okay, it looks a little bit like the apocalypse is happening. So what am I doing? Am I going back to Germany now, or am I going to the Himalayas? And my instinct was, I'm going to the Himalayas. That didn't happen. I stayed in Goa, but me too. Same story. I was also in India during that time, and also decided that I don't want to immediately go back to my home, but to stay in the safety of India, in the
And it was actually
supposed.
it was quite nice experience. So I was also on my way to the north because I wanted to get to know Rishikesh and like Upper India because I've just been in the south. But then I got stuck in Pushkar and I decided to stay there. And it was quite cool. Like, you know, the cows in the streets and the dogs in the street, they didn't know what's going on. So every time you went out, it was like they're coming to you and like, where is the humans? Where is the market? Where is
Yeah,
the food?
what's
What's
happening?
going on?
What is happening?
And the people, yeah, and the people there, they needed some time to actually understand. There was so many stupid rules because they didn't know what to do. So at some point they started feeding the cows and dogs, like they went out and fed them like actively, because usually they just eat from whatever leftover there are,
Yeah,
but
but then
all of a
it
sudden nothing. And
what
then
it
I went back to Israel, and 3 years later, after when I came back to India, and 4 years later, after, I mean, like last year when we met. So my second and third time in India, it was very much different. So after coming back to Israel, I learned so much about India by researching about Hinduism. Because when I was there, I was experiencing it, but I didn't actually had the time to read about it or to see it, to from other perspective. And when I was home in the Corona and everything, I started learning much, much more about India. So second time coming, it was amazing. Like I went to Delhi and then to Rishikesh, and I met the Ganga. Okay, so first time in my life I had a relationship with the river. So river is something, it's water. It's just water flowing. But the Ganga, the Indian people, they are treating the river like a mother. So they're saying Ganga Ma. This is our mother. It comes from the Himalaya and it goes around all India and it brings water to everywhere. It's life. It's basically life. And this river is flowing for ever. I don't know, for thousands and thousands of years. It never stops. And such a relationship with the river, it was very weird but very amazing at the same time. Like I could feel if I'm going up the mountain and getting far from it, I feel it. Like I feel the lack of presence of the river. And when I'm with the river, it feels. And third time I came to India, it was funny because I took a cab from the airport in Delhi to the Chabad house, the Jewish house, and like me and another guy, it was our maybe second or third time, and for another couple, it was their first time. So you saw the reactions in the cab. They were like, "Whoa, whoa, what's going on?" Like they were very surprised by how the traffic is going, by how our driver is going, and we were really relaxed, like normal. Yeah, we're in India finally,
yes,
home. Normal,
yes.
really normal. And it was because we didn't even pay attention to it, but when I saw them, they were reflecting to me like what it's like to see India in the first time and the second, third time.
Yes, yeah,
It was
absolutely.
very different.
Yeah, I remember the moment when I was getting picked up from the airport. I I exit the airport building. There's the organizer with his friends standing there, and they're like, "Yeah, wow, come on!" And we're getting in the car, and immediately after starting, maybe 5 to 10 minutes after, we picked up a friend, Joker Fox. Actually, he became a DJ later on, and he is crossing over the road. And in India, roads have up to 20, 30 lanes. It's not like in any, it's really 20, 30 lanes, and you have cows and everything in between. And cars can also go at highways. They could go ghost driving mode, where in Europe, in 2 minutes, the police would be there with a helicopter and would be over the radio a warning to people like there is a ghost driver. In India, if you have to go ghost driver mode, we call it ghost driver in Germany, then you can just do that at any time and so forth. So he's coming through all those cars and jumps inside the car, and I was already okay. Wow, that is crazy. And then he was basically riding with us. We probably picked him up from work or something like that. He was riding with us for some time. And then I remember the very moment when the guy was like saying goodbye, and we were still on a massive road with 20 lanes, 30 lanes, cows, everything, cars, like in Bangalore. Bangalore is an amazing modern city, but there is IT city, so millions of people are pushing themselves through the city to their workplace and back every day. That's why you have those massive 20-lane highways and so forth and streets. And the guy was going backwards out of the car, saying bye, and turning around without even a millisecond of hesitation, just going through 30 lanes of traffic. I was shocked. I was so shocked. And nowadays, people always tell me, like when I'm crossing the road, because I was in India too much in my life, that, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, man.
That's how you need to cross. You need to be
Yeah.
relaxed and walk. They will cut you from back and right and front, and
Nobody wants the headache to have you screaming and put blood on their car anyway. Nobody they will try their best. It might happen also, but actually it's always surprising. There should be. I know there is many deadly accidents in India every day, which is not a surprise with a country with 1.25 billion people, but actually surprisingly less. Like same with the floods that we were talking about. There was just a handful of dead people during those floods, and the destruction was next level. So it's kind of amazing how that happens. I was riding on motorbikes around, I don't know, thousands and thousands, definitely more than 10,000 kilometers in India. And I had this one accident where a drunk Indian was doing a 180 into my bike, and I saved his life by evading him. But other than that, I still have all my limbs and stuff. And I rode a lot of hardcore roads in India, and I'm still alive. I'm quite happy that I didn't. By the way, guys, wear a helmet. I have friends in India who had deadly accidents or accidents where they lost their faces and so forth. It can happen, so be aware about that. And fortunately, I was realizing that protective gear is very important also in India. You don't want to, try your luck too much, I guess. Better put some helmet on.
There is one more thing that is really cool about India, which is the chai shops. So basically, to the people who don't know, have not been in India, like chai shop is just a small place, small table. He has just the one pot and the chai with the milk. And usually they are very, very, very casual on the street, everywhere you can find it.
Everywhere, on events, on the streets,
Such
anywhere.
such an amazing part of the culture. Wherever you are waiting for the bus, you are getting off of the bus, you are 3 a.m. I don't know. You will always find some place where you can sit and have chai. And in this place, there are always other people, and it's very normal to have conversations with people that you meet in the chai shop. So it's kind of I don't know, a checkpoint, a place where you can go and just just chit chat with people, and sometimes even meet really cool people. Like me and you, how we met, it wasn't an actual chai shop. It was a little bit bigger. It was like an actual cafe kind of.
But just a little bit bigger than that. It was.
Same idea. Yeah, same idea.
I think it was a chai shop, actually. To be honest with you, if you go far enough to the past, probably
it was a chai shop.
It was a chai shop originally.
It was a chai shop with just also cappuccino machine, and now it started to be.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like
at the same time you drink the cappuccino, and a lot of cows or I don't know, like sheep going in the street, and you are with your cappuccino. So it's like very
yes.
Yeah,
I love the place because they made the investment. They bought a good coffee machine. There is the Daily Grind Coffee, is a famous other coffee place that is just opposite side. I'm always trying to, and it's beautiful because they don't care. You can go to the other guy or you can go to this guy. I go to both of the guys. To one guy I'm going for a chai and for a chili cheese sandwich, and to the other guy I'm going for the nice espresso. But I love them both, actually. And
actually, in front of this cappuccino guy, there was another place. That's where I met Shakti, also in a chai place. So he was coming there for chai with his band, and we were there, and we met, and that's how we met.
Grind. That is what you're talking about. Is the one that I mean? It's the Daily Grind. It's a very, very famous coffee place. Although it doesn't look like it, it looks very small. It is very small. The owner. The guy who's working there is now the guy who's taking care of the place. The owner is a different guy who has a place now in Arambol, the Daily Grind in Arambol, which is a luxurious place, which is really funny. It's like the other Daily Grind in Goa is not like the Himalayan Daily Grind, because the Himalayas are the Himalayas and Goa is Goa, and one has very little to do with each other, to be very honest with you. It's like both in India, but take a person from Goa, from literally they are like a different everything, the language, how they look, their eyes, their hair, their faces. It's like
Everything.
everything. Yeah, it's like a different place. The funny thing is, in the Himalayas, there is a famous place called Manali, and in Manali there lives a tribe, or the people from Manali are tribal people. Is maybe a better way to say it, and they consider themselves untouchable in the way that they are descendants of Alexander the Great, and truly they have light skin, fair skin, and blue eyes and green eyes and so forth. Blue, green, gray. So they are like genetically, apparently, like there's something else mixed in there, you can say. And this is also the place where hashish specialty, one of the greatest hashish specialities of the planet, is created in this by this tribal people in the Himalayan mountains. India is just so vast that it's so big and so varied that you can travel a lifetime and you have seen just the tip of the iceberg. You you
Yes.
you only saw a little bit of it, no matter how much you have seen. But at some point you become more relaxed, at least. You know, when you are telling the guy in the hotel the Wi-Fi is not working, and he tells you, "Okay, sir," and you tell him, "Okay, please fix it," and he tells you, "Okay, sir," and then 5 minutes later you call the guy and you tell him it's still not working. I would need to communicate with some people. It would be quite urgent. Can you maybe do something? And he says, "Okay, sir." You know, like at some point you learn how to be just like, okay, no problem. I can't do nothing, you know. Some things are not in our power, basically.
So, this chai thing, it's not just about the chai, of course. It's about how also in coffee places, in any place in India, it's very normal to come and join people that you don't know. Even if you are like you, that you are a little bit more
Reserved.
uh, reserved, but still it's okay. It will not disturb the people. Even if you feel like it will not disturb them. They would be like, yeah, for sure, come, sit with us, this, that, it's very open. And in the Western countries, well, it would be kind of disturbing if you would go in the street in Tel Aviv and you would enter some coffee place and reach someone and tell him, "Hey, can I join you?" It would be uh, like disturbing them. Maybe they wouldn't know what's going on. Why do you want to sit with me?
Most likely that's not fully generalized, because in Israel there might be also some people who are completely different and who would say like, of course, come
No,
here, sit and so forth.
no,
But
there are,
generally,
but it's in a different place. So there would be a place. So there is a coffee place where I go where it's normal to do so.
yeah,
It's like I feel like I'm traveling again, but even if the people are okay with it, it's like the place is not okay with it. When you go in the fancy places, it's like there is individualization. You don't associate with other people. You come with who you came with and be with them
yeah,
and don't disturb the other people. Also in hotel, so in the hotel you go, you are in your room, you don't need to disturb the other people. But in a hostel or in a guest house, it's kind of the point. You cook together, you chill together. There are a lot of public spaces where you can meet people because people want to meet each other. So they go there because of it. And I would like to bring some of this. Constantly bringing from every travel I'm going, South America, India, everywhere. I'm bringing this vibration with me and I'm trying to ground it here in the mainstream society in a Western country. And it's much harder. It's like I'm the weird one here, like over there in India, I'm amazing because I've really got it. Like I really got the culture. Like I understand how it works and I'm open with everybody and very living life to the most. And here it would be weird to be it. So you need a lot of courage and a lot of being smart where you don't cross the border too much, but you do expand it a little bit,
yes,
So
yes,
you
yes, yes. You
you
do what
come
you
at
can.
people like little bit more strong, but not too much like crazy. So it's very delicate like balance, and that's a work I'm doing. And I wish that all of us travelers would go back to our countries and try to ground these vibrations that we bring from other places and not immediately cave to the vibration of the Western society, because that's the beauty of it, the mix, the
Yeah,
mixture of whatever Western society
yes,
has to bring and whatever Eastern society has to bring them together and create something new that include the best of both.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have a lot to learn from India in this case.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Absolutely. What a beautiful conversation, Iliad. I really enjoyed the time
yes,
exploring here in real time. This was also from the beginning our concept was now we already know even more about each other. We have spent such an intense and beautiful time with each other, learned and grew together, and finally we conceived of this mental artistical, beautiful baby together where we share our experiences. And this is just the first episode. We have planned more episodes. So, for all the people that enjoyed our conversation, please, guys, there is an easy way to support this new endeavor. This is something brand new. There are lots of things in this world that are already done. But this is something that is just starting. The sacred family is starting to join, and you can be part of our sacred family. The easiest way to get notified about our next episode is, of course, to subscribe to the channel right now and click the bell, and also leave a like and ask us anything. The great thing is that we invite you to participate. Also in future episodes, we want to invite you guys. Join our Discord, and we will invite our listeners in the future for live conversations. Maybe we can help them with certain things. Either me with my knowledge that ranges, goes above on many topics, like also meditation and breathing techniques and so forth, for a creative life, for fulfilling creative life. And of course, Iliad is coming from a more spiritual and more kind of didactic teaching background, where he already has students that he helps, and we want to really get in touch with you. This is not a one-way road. We are interacting with you guys. This is really where we are doing this to open up our really, really intense life to the rest of the world and invite you to join in. You can ask questions, you can join into the podcast, you can be a guest in the future of this podcast, all of those great things, and you can support us from the beginning. We'll have merchandise that is limited, of course. Our first drop of merchandise is already in the making, and we invite you to become a part of the sacred family right now, right here and now. You heard from us, for example, about Shakti, a beautiful soul, a truly beautiful human, and a truly gifted musician. And this will be one of our guests, for example. We'll explore different places in the world that we both have visited. The insane thing is that Iliad has visited South America and Australia and Asia and many other places, and so did I. And both of us have stories to share. This podcast is about spirituality, about traveling, and about connecting with the global family. We are very, very happy that you are part of this, and we can't wait to have you here the next time, which will be very, very soon. We'll try to drop an episode per week. So thank you for watching, for the people that are sticking around until the end, and stay tuned for a lot more adventures together with Iliad Mualim and myself, Samuel Zimmerman. That's it.
Yes.
I see
Samuel,
you.
it was really fun.
Yes.
Thank you also
Yes.
for this great conversation. It was amazing. And yes,
More to
let's
come.
do it.
More to
Yeah,
come.
more to come.
Now there is the floodgates are opened for more amazing stories. This is just the first conversation. I think we enjoyed ourselves quite nicely, and therefore the only hope of mine is that people also could find some value or something interesting, something inspiring from our conversation. This, of course, is just the beginning. With that said, I see you guys very soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.